Hi, Carrie and Therese here today to discuss pricing.
Yeah. So in this market, looking at comps is a little bit tricky because typically we would look at past sales as far as 3 to 6 months ago when advising our clients on how to write an offer or where to go in price wise.
It's really hard right now. That's not really applicable. We can't go back much more than 45.
30 days?
30 is probably more appropriate. It's hard to compare. You can't really compare January, February pricing to current pricing. So from a buyer standpoint, yes, it is somewhat helpful to look back at what has sold recently in and around the area, but you can't let that get you stuck on a number. Two ways to not get stuck on a number is based on what has sold, 6 months ago, and what their actual list price is, right? Just because they picked an arbitrary, probably an aggressive number, although we're seeing more sellers pushing it than they are pricing aggressively. But I think we're also seeing buyers balk at going too much over list.
Right. Just because they list at 800, but the house next door, which is very, very similar, sold for 900, doesn't mean you shouldn't write at 925. They underpriced their house
On
because they
purpose.
want multiple offers. So thinking about it as going in $125,000 over the list price is probably not the best way to think about it. Think about it as you're paying market value. You're paying $25,000 over what the house next door sold for.
It's like when you don't really need a new pair of shoes, but they're on sale and you bought them anyway.
I think that
It's not like that at all. But my point is that just because they priced somewhere doesn't mean. I think there's a psychological like thing happening there when people are like, I'm not going 150 over. But if you don't,
somebody else will.
100% in this market, if you don't do it, someone else will, without question.
So back to your statement about sellers now being a little bit more aggressive. In that case, you do have to look at comps because the sellers who are overpricing their homes are just throwing a number out there to see it's their what if number.
Yeah, like if
Right.
they can get it, they will move, and
Right.
if they can't, they're not.
Right.
And
So in that case, then looking at comps is super appropriate because if they're overpriced by 100,000, there is going to be some situations where you can write under the asking price because the comps don't support it. I think another thing with looking at comps is you have to look at what is hot in the market right now. Anything with a pool that is done is a hot property in Orange County right now. So you cannot compare that property to the house next door that is not done and does not have a pool because those are two separate entities. Even though they are similar square footage, this house that is done with a pool is going to sell for way more than the house that is not and doesn't have a pool. That's just that's the market right now. So you have to have advisors who can look at that and not just go on Redfin or Zillow and say, well, this house sold for this or this house sold for this and it's not the same. So I think